As football may have it, Arsenal had the day. So when you say hard work pays, what about Manchester United against Arsenal? Would you say hard work pays? But Arsenal stuck to their guns and then managed the game and delivered result. What matters is the result.
Is this why I remind you, Tony, that it is not of he that runneth or willeth, but of he that showeth mercy?
Definitely. The result matters in everything. And one thing is, when result comes, sometimes some people tend to forget hard work. But we know hard work is also good. I'm not trying to de-emphasize on hard work, but results mostly is prime more than hard work.
All right, then we have the This Day newspaper on our desk. The Vanguard is here. We have the Punch and, of course, the Guardian newspapers. And we are first going to tell you what the front pages say. On This Day newspaper, DSS gets kudos over recent major breakthrough in fight against insecurity. This story is on page 5. He has a rider, Bago, Niga, Murik applaud Ajayi-led secret police. Banner headline here. By-elections results. APC sweeps 12 constituencies. APGA 2, PDP 1, NNPP 1. Are you looking for the party I am looking for as well? Oh well, has a lot to say for the future, especially with 2027 in view. But the riders here, elated. Tinubu rejoices, hails INEC for H-free polls, commends electorate for voting APC. That's also on page 5. Victory's endorsement of the president, ruling party boasts. ADC alleges intimidation, corruption. LP says it's mockery of democracy, travesty of justice. PDP chief dismisses exercise as fraud. Quite interesting. Tinubu, Atiku, Bago, David Mark rejoice with ex-military leader IPB at 84.
Okay, so let's go over to the Punch newspaper and see the headlines. The banner headline says, Workers' Compensation, FG backtracks as NLC holds ground. The story is on page 27. It has a rider, NSITF moves to avert strike. Says AGF will refund workers, NLC leaders meet. The another story here, beside the nameplate, it says, Court orders full disclosure of 37 billion naira renovation by National Assembly. It's on page 8. Of course, a CSO has gone to court to get court order for the total amount of money spent in that renovation to be disclosed. They are saying that it's within the purview of what can be gotten using the Freedom of Information Act. APC opposition clash over by-election result in 12 states. The story is on page 2. It has a rider that says that Tinubu hails winners, INEC as PDP, or rather, Tinubu hails winners, INEC as PDP, NMPP, ADC reject result, threaten lawsuit. It's on page 2. Shipping crisis delays Dangote's 3,550 CNG trucks. The story is on page 28. You know that Dangote said that by August 15, it was going to roll out 4,000 CNG trucks for them to begin distribution of fuel and other petroleum products directly to the users. But as we speak now, they are saying that only 450 units of the trucks have arrived due to shipping crisis. And then, other story we have here, Nigeria deports 42 convicted Chinese, Philippine cyber criminals. The story is on page 3. I must say that when I saw this story, I was excited. Guess what? For the first time, I've been able to read that Nigeria was able to deport some persons. And that's a good story because they were involved in cybercrime and in Ponzi schemes. The another story says NCPC resumes Israeli pilgrimage with 50% subsidies on page 16. 2 Nigerians die of suspected poisoning in Libya. Check pages 4 and 5 of the Punch newspaper. And the last story we have here says ICRC issues new PPP guidelines for MDAs. The story is on page 28.
All right, let's proceed to the Vanguard newspaper. Banner headline here, how APC swept by-elections. Wins 12 seats, APGA 2, PDP 1, NNPP 1. Tinubu feats winners as opposition parties kick. Flawed by-election. Dress rehearsal for 2027 polls, ADC. There may be no elections in 2027. AVE, that's from PDP. It is a mockery of democracy, from LP. Our by-elections win. Endorsement of Tinubu, APC. Find all of those on page 5. 40 missing, 10 rescued in Sokoto built mishap on page 6. Why are we still not addressing everything happening in the marine transportation industry? Why are we even, paying little or no attention to it? Especially as it is something that would actually, if handled well, help our economy thrive in so many ways. But we keep having casualties upon casualties. FG Jonathan, ACF, celebrate IBB at 84. Find that on page 13. Rice farmers blame price hike on cattle. Middlemen on page 8. Okay, you'd find this one here. No fund loans will pay fees. Students are charged. Alausa on page 8. Zelensky rejects territorial concessions as Putin offers security guarantee on page 13. Recall that meeting between Putin and Trump over the weekend in Alaska. NLC strike notice. NSITF admits 50% deduction on page 9. Jonathan visits IBB on his 84th birthday. Find the story on the Vanguard newspaper as well.
Okay, there's one headline on Vanguard that I would like to reference before we move over to the Guardian newspaper. It says, Imo bans kindergarten graduation ceremonies. It's on the inside page of Vanguard newspaper. Then over to the Guardian. This one says, over 10 banks, insurers risk forced merger in race for new capital. The story is on page 6. Another story says, COAS reshuffles, appoints new PSOS, GOC's other commanders is on page 3. Kogi government announces Zuru monarch's passing in London hospital. The story is on page 3. And then this one says, Serap seeks probe of pay to present motions, bills claim. The story is on page 3. And this one says, Alausa, we are bringing Nigeria out of school kids back to classroom. Alausa, we are bringing Nigeria's out of school kids back to classrooms. Then replacing Tinubu with Jonathan, no solution, but system overhaul, says Farotimi. Then another story says, Afe Babalola canvasses better education sector to check insecurity. The story is on page 7. By-elections, opposition's fragility exposed as APC tightens hold with 12 of 16 seats. The story is on page 6. EFCC, NIS deport 42 cyber criminals, 150 to follow. Check page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And then the last story we can take from here says, pensioners deserve a duty of care and prompt payment. The story is on page 16 of the Guardian newspaper.
All right then, gentlemen, we are going to dive into the conversation. And of course, we are starting with the, would I call it small things? I think we should just start off with that ban in Imo State. I know tempers are high. The election is top on the list for a lot of persons. But Tony, let's quickly look at what the Imo State governor has also, yes, the Imo State government has said concerning this entire charade of of graduations in the first place, because unfortunately we live in a climate where every opportunity to overtax parents, a lot of educational institutions take it. And so the Imo State government has announced an immediate ban on graduation parties for kindergarten, nursery and junior secondary school pupils, saying the measure will reduce financial burdens on parents and redirect attention to the academic development of children. How do you feel about this news? And do you think it should be replicated across the country?
I think it tells you that the government of Imo State has been very responsive and at the same time been looking around and watching developments across the state. And for them to have taken this decision, it also means that they have listened to the cries of the parents. So it tells you quite a lot, and many people have complained something close to this here and other places, not just something synonymous with Imo State. Is just everywhere in the country, and mostly in the southern part of the country, because I'm aware you don't do things like this in the northern part of the country, except some part of north central states like Plateau State, like Benue State, and other states, Taraba, and some parts of Niger State. Outside that, even Kogi State as well. Outside these states, it has always been a problem here. I'm just trying to find out where we copied what we copied. So I'm aware that even in United States, where we got some of these tradition, graduation is used even at levels though below university, including kindergarten, preschool ceremonies under the broader umbrella of commencement celebrations. But the truth remains that over there, the economy and our own economy, that's not the same. And we have parents who are barely feeding their family for 3 times in a day. So it tells you quite a lot. The point remains that we cannot continue this way. There is no doubt. We cannot continue the way we are going. And I must tell you that it's a welcome development for me in Imo State. What that means is that the state government has listened to the cries of the family. And you can imagine, we are even pre-nursery. We've seen such graduation. And remember, in our school system, there is nothing like pre-nursery. There is nothing like kindergarten. There is nothing like nursery. Remember, in our school system, you have primary. What we have is these, 3-4 system of education. I don't know if that has changed. 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior secondary school, 3 years in senior secondary school, and 4 years in university. I don't know if that has changed, but that's what we have so far. And when we introduce levels like nursery, pre-nursery, I'm not against it, because it is also important to keep the brain of a child working. And we've seen the advantages, we've seen the benefit of these smaller levels. But where you make it to be a burden for parents, it becomes a problem, it becomes troubling. And situations where they even pay higher compared to the real primary school and possibly the junior secondary school, it tells quite a lot. And where they go higher to bring a culture from United States of America, where you do graduation for these pre-nursery students or pre-nursery people, you also do graduation for nursery as they are graduating from nursery to primary school. They one of the pre-nursery, they're graduating from pre-nursery to nursery school. It tells you that it is more of chasing shadow. And many schools have designed it to be a way to source for funds for them. That is business. We cannot commercialize such situations at the expense of the parents. A welcome development in Imo State, and we're looking forward to have such situations, have such policies banned in other states.
Okay, there's a second leg to this very policy, which came from Imo State, because Imo State government, by talking about the Commissioner for Education in that very state, that there was a memo he issued on August 15, 2025, and that very memo was titled Policy on Education for Public and Private Primary and Secondary Schools in Imo State. Now, apart from announcing that very immediate ban on graduation parties for kindergarten, nursery, and junior secondary schools, he also announced that henceforth in Imo State, school proprietors are going to stop this practice of annual change of textbooks, which we know that it is financially draining. I can recall that when we schooled, during my own time in secondary school, in fact, okay, let me begin from primary school. I borrowed some of my textbooks, the ones I couldn't afford. I borrowed from people who were one class ahead of me, and I used the textbook. When I finished, I returned to the owner. Or that's one that my sister used that I also use, which is in our library today. But what we have in present day is that once somebody uses a particular textbook, it's as good as gone. Your sister can't use it, your brother can't use it. What they do is that every time, like every time, they tend to churn out new textbooks. But government is now saying in Imo State, nobody should do that again. That henceforth, before you can change textbooks, it must take up to 4 years before there should be changing textbooks, so that siblings can use the same textbook and be able to relieve financial burden on their parents. And they are saying that the only people who can now do graduation are those those who are in that class that requires them to move to another level. Like if you're in SS3, you can do graduation. If you are in primary 6, you can do graduation. So I'm trying to see whether if there's any way we can extrapolate this, because believe me, in the whole country now, this is the practice we have now. And I was wondering when that can change. What is the problem with siblings sharing the same textbook Does it in any way impact on students' academic performance that made us to adopt that system that has put so much pressure on parents?
I think it's a whole lot of things. I understand the concern you raised. There's no doubt. And in our own generation, it was not like this. And we are concerned why things have changed rapidly. We are encouraging change, but what we want is positive change. We wouldn't say because it happened the way it happened during our own time, so it will remain that way. That's not what we are saying. Whatever change should be a change to improve a situation, not to burden the situation. That is one. And when you talk about the issue of textbook, and I've discovered that most primaries or most private schools, the avenues through which they make money, one, the issue of graduation, two, the issue of textbook. If you look around, no government school does this graduation of a thing. Maybe for those who are in primary 6 and those who may be leaving the SS class level, that is SS3. I have not seen, I'm yet to see any graduation where the school funded or sanctioned it. The students sometimes do these things on their own. We understand they do these things on their own. But situations where school gets involved and demand that students pay for such graduation, that's what Imo State government is saying. It is totally banned. And where the government has recognized just primary 6 and SS3 that are authorized for such graduation ceremonies. Outside that, then the issue of textbook, just like I said earlier on, most of these things are done by private schools, and for them it is business. But government will not close their eyes and watch these things continue. During our own time, I discovered that even when I was in primary schools, I was able to use textbooks. My elder and older siblings, the ones they use, I use them, and nothing stops me. And I believe it is so in Anambra State for now. Because why? Reason being that students or schools, textbooks sold in schools are sanctioned by the government. You don't just come and sell textbooks. You don't just bring textbooks and then want to distribute them. No. They are sanctioned by state government, and there are textbooks you will use from primary 1 to primary 4 or primary 6. Now, the idea of each time you move into a particular class, you buy a textbook. Each time you move into a particular class, you buy a textbook. Is draining. Some textbooks are designed in such a way it will cover different classes. So when you are buying them, you may buy them for your entire primary school. When you are buying them, you may buy them for entire JSS 1 to JSS 3. Because you know, once you get into senior class, it's a different ball game. Once you enter SS1, most textbooks I used during my secondary school, they cover both SS1, SS2, SS3. If it is biology, that biology covers both SS1, SS2, SS3. If it is Arabic, it covers the same thing. If it's physics, even the ones we use so much, if you want me, I will call it PNOKK. It covers the 3 classes. Even if you talk about the chemistry, the organic chemistry, and they have very chemistry textbook that was popular. I can't even remember the name now. It covers the entire what? Ababio. It covers the 3 classes. So the idea of buying textbook each time you move into a particular class, it is wrong. And for me, it is not just wrong, it is robbery. Robbery at the highest order is something that we must stop, because people that are guilty of this, they are private schools. We must be honest. Even in Imo State, private schools are the ones guilty of this. Most government schools don't do this. Majority of them don't do it. If they do it in a legal way that they will be hiding about it. So government must beam their torchlight mostly on these private schools. Yes, they have license to operate, but they will not operate in a way to frustrate us. They will not operate in a way to suppress us. So for me, what we've seen so far is suppression on their own part. We know that they are into the game just to mold these peoples in learning and in character, but over commercialization of so many things they do, it is something government must put a stop, put a hold on it. That's why we're commending Imo State government for what he has done, and we also have to look into that in our own state here. We have so many private schools raking in a lot from parents. Look at this graduation, this September or August graduation. Many parents were asked to pay 50,000, some paid 100, some paid 40, some paid 30. For what? And especially look at the classes. classes not recognized by government curriculum. I'm saying it here, pre-nursery, nursery. These are things that are not recognized by our curriculum system. It is not recognized. It's not recognized in our education system. But why it is welcomed is to prepare the brain of a child, to prepare a brain of a people to get ready for primary school, primary one. That is where the system begins. So it is important we keep hammering on this. This is their light robbery, and we will not continue to allow it to continue. Textbooks should be done in such a way. Once you are able to, those days when we are in class, once the chemistry teacher walks in, we'll be asked to bring our textbook, and the chemistry teacher is not concerned about if you're using a Babio or if you're using this, as long as it's one of the textbooks approved by the government, because government approve a lot of textbooks. When it comes to chemistry, they may approve 5 or 7 textbooks, so you will be allowed to buy the one you would want to buy, not they will put it to you, you must buy this brand.
This made me to remember, because for 4 years in secondary school, I used a revised standard version of the Bible to do all my CRK subject until I left school. That I think then it was purchased for 350 naira.
Yeah,
and nobody forced me to buy any other textbook except that very revised standard version of the Bible that I use all through. But today, the reverse is the case. So I think we commend him.
We must, go on to pick out and call out some of the schools that do this and bring the government lights upon them, the attention of government. We must do that, because that's our work, because we are the watchdog of the society. We are the watchdog. Anytime anything goes wrong, it is our duty to point it out and also to give alarm over it to ensure that thing stops. That's what a watchdog does. So we'll continue to do that, and we're not going to relent. So for those schools who are doing this, remember that the day of reckoning is coming. The day of reckoning. You cannot continue to do this. There are other ways to engage pupils. Engage them in technical, vocational. There are some things you can add to their life in the way of learning and the character. Not trying to get a textbook, you commercialize it, you force it on them, they must swallow it down their throat. At the end of the day, they come out nothing. And if you ask me, most of the things I learned in secondary school, if you put any question across to me now, I bet you I'll answer that. Because we learned to know, not to cram. Because some of these students are subjected to cram. If you talk about the biology, photosynthesis, diffusion, and so many of these things, right from ecosystem, we can talk about them very well, comfortably, without any missing word. And this is something I think I can't remember last I left secondary school. Many years back, I remember there was a time I celebrated, I think how many years ago, we celebrated 25 years of leaving secondary school. But some of the things we are taught then, these things can't leave me. They cannot leave me, and I cannot leave some of the things that we are taught while in classroom. Sometimes when we'll be going around, if I see my mates, we will be more like trying to remind ourselves those days, those beautiful old days. Because I remember those days, I have a penchant for chemistry, and also penchant for physics, penchant for biology. Some of these things are there with me life for life. But if you ask many of our students who are passing through this system, schools are more interested in money these days.
Unfortunately, it is what it is. But like I said earlier, it's good that like you said, Tony, it's good that the Imo State government is in tune with what is happening with the people of the state. And we are hoping that in the coming days, other states would replicate the same thing, and we would have this madness rooted out of our system. And then we are going over to another topic of conversation this morning. The weekend was a political one, and so we are not going to shy away from that as well. Word on the street now, I'm going to take it from the papers, is that APGA won, APGA won a number of seats in the state, and of course, I think APGA won the two in Anambra State, and there's been a lot of would I call it analysis going on on what happened on that day. But we had our men on the field on that particular election day, and we saw what happened for ourselves. A lot of questions has come out of that particular election, Tony. A lot of claims have been made. Some parties are saying that it was not an election.
It was what?
The likes of PDP, the likes of ADC, the likes of LP have disagreed with the election results. The LP called it a mockery of democracy. The ADC said it was a dress rehearsal for 2027 polls. And of course, the PDP said there may be no election in 2027 if, things pan out the way it panned out on Saturday. But judging from your own perspective, Tony, we're going to start from Anambra State.
Okay.
How would you interpret what happened in Anambra State on Saturday?
We're here in the studio. You can quite agree. We had a lot of reporters who are scattered everywhere. In Anambra State, we have independent reporters, and we also had field reporters, observers, and we're here collating their reports. For many who listened, you heard everything. And generally, you would say that the election was peaceful. Yes, generally, from the reports. And I later went there myself, because at the point I had to leave the studio to go and see things myself. That election, no matter how you look at it, reflected the will or the wishes of those who voted. It's not be on social media. Yes, it may not be perfect. I have said it many times. It wasn't a perfect election in that sense, where everything, every eyes and every trees will cross, every eyes dotted, that there will be no any form of mistake or any form of derailment. No, it's not that perfect in that sense. But for what happened that very day, from the report, we are all here. People were giving reports, and we saw people came, and people turned out. Yes, there were places where there were issues. Few places, and majority of places. Let me say this thing. If you have an exam and you score 80%, you've passed, no doubt. You didn't score 100. But those areas that there were issues, those few areas cannot in any way undo the outcome of the election. So, and I know the naysayers will focus more on the areas that are or that had issues. And
what are some of those areas that had issues? The
issues they had, one, there were just few areas based on the reports, based on our findings, that the electoral materials
arrived late.
But not that those people couldn't vote. They later voted. That is one. There were areas where people were jumping queues, where there was a little bit of crowd, and people were jumping queues trying to cause chaos, but later there was orderliness. Everybody voted. There were some areas where it was alleged that money was shared, and then for those who made such allegation, they say that once you voted, you will be appreciated. So I asked, because I went there, and when I was asking questions, those who made such allegations, were people giving money to vote, or after voting they were giving money? Those who made the allegation said no, they were giving the money after they had voted, not before they went to vote. And I also asked, were they doing it close to the polling? They said no. The question remains that, so what it means that, according to them, that there are people that were giving money immediately they had voted, so they will go somewhere and collect money. Now, we've known that vote buying and vote selling, for me, it has not been something we crystallized in our electoral system to criminalize street to censor. We have not criminalized it in a way that once it's cited and we define the modus, there are people calling it appreciation peck. There are people who said no, it wasn't a case of vote buying, it was a case of appreciation peck. That these people were asked to, they were not forced to vote for the party. They voted for the party and came and said, oh, we voted for this party, oh, thank you for voting for our party. Because there was somebody who I met who said, see, that people should take note of this. They shouldn't call it vote buying. That vote buying will be where the voter was approached before voting, and the voter will be told that if you vote for us, we give you dicks.
We also had a report.
But that's by the way,
our reporters that it was the case in some places.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But it was not also the issue in some other places. We are just pointing out some of the issues mentioned. So
is it supposed to be so too?
It wasn't. In fact, it's not supposed.
The appreciation caveat is it
whatever they call it is not supposed. Let's be honest. It's not supposed. But for me, just like I've said earlier on, even they are, according to the report we had here, I think our field reporter said all the parties are guilty of this. That was our staff reporter.
I remember.
Said that all the parties, not one party. So if a party A, party B, party C, they are all guilty. So it also means that they had the same level playing field.
And so this is our reality, Tony. Okay. You said they have the same level playing field. Recall on Saturday, we had a conversation of what a free and fair election would be. And if every party is in the field with the same tool, from what we understand now, which is money, they had a fair playing field. But the big question is the electoral reforms we have in mind, the kind of electoral system we want, where the change that we desire comes from the people who really can do this job, are elected to do this job. Is it attainable with the reality we live in, where all the parties, there is not even one, from what we heard, that played without this tool?
And you are just talking about Anambra State, and we also reported. There was a report that in Kano, that police intercepted big money, where somebody was parading the money with which the person had wanted. So it happened even in Oyo State. It happened. It happened in all.
Was even declared inconclusive.
Yes, it happened even in Enugu State. So it happened in all the states. So what it means that politicians and political parties, for them, it is a level playing field. That since Party A will be doing this, why don't we get ourselves ready so that we can also do what Party A is doing? Because if they're allowed to do it and get away with it, it means that they have advantage over us. So it is one of the reforms expected in our electoral system, where it will stricto sensu criminalize and even put some kind of caveat that if a party agent, if there's evidence convicted, that party will be disqualified. Because if you go on to give them fine, they will go on and do it. But if you put disqualification from that context, you will see that every party will be very careful. And there are some that will also try to create a situation where that this party is doing it so that the party will be disqualified. So we know all those tricks. But the point remains that what happened in Anambra State, if that election were to be done without any of this, the party that won will still win, because the winning was resounding. You wouldn't tell me that in a context like, let's talk about Anambra South, for instance. In Anambra South, we have 118 wards. That's the word we have there. And out of that 118 wards, the party ABGA won all of them. All of them, 118 wards. In fact, if you look at the polling booths or the polling units, out of 1,922 polling units that ABGA won, in fact, they just lost 11 polling units out of nearly 2,000 polling units. 11. See, what does that tell you? This is a resounding victory. Most times there is these things, nobody can even challenge this election in court. I bet you, because the victory is overwhelming, it's resounding. But the thing remains here, because I remember there are some parties who also participated in money sharing but couldn't get anything. So in all the monies they shared, what happened was the fact that they just got 11 polling units, and in Anambra South, that's the one with all the money they shared. But one also shared and got everywhere, cleared. So the point I'm trying to make is that election, removing all these issues, if it were to be done in an open, the party will still win. Okay. Because if they were not challenged, what this election is, for me, it wasn't a contest, it was a walkover. Okay, that's what we call in football. Walkover.
The Labour Party presidential candidate has urged Nigerians to register and collect their permanent voter cards ahead of the 2027 general election, stressing that it is the most powerful tool to defeat bad leadership and curb electoral fraud. Now, we are moving on from Saturday, but I'm going to be referencing Saturday. Okay. While we were on the fields, we took note of the voter registered, the voter registers, the number of voters that are supposed to vote at every polling unit. Exactly. And I'll tell you something for a fact. When you calculate the total number of votes garnered, it shows a very huge gap in the number of voters in these places compared to the number of people who eventually voted. What does it tell you? We still have voter apathy. And the big question is, well, the turnout was impressive, so to say, especially since there was so much movement. I'll speak about Onitsha North, where I had to be on the field. You know, people went about their different businesses and everything. Still, I am wondering why a lot of Nigerians still do not consider it as a matter of urgent responsibility, the act of voting.
I think we have a problem with our voter register, because if you clean the voter registers, you may have something lesser than what we have. Because
why?
Reason
it
being
means
that
people are not registering to vote.
No. There are people, I don't know, there are people who may be sick, there are people who may have died, there are people who may have relocated where they are presently, will make it very difficult for them. So there are a lot of issues. And one other issues I also want to point that I also noticed during this election, there was religious issue in Anambra State, because some political parties went to use some religious organizations to persuade the voters. In fact, it is on record. I saw a video where a priest, a reverend father, was cursing anybody that will vote for any other party outside a particular party. We know the party the reverend father was supporting. I'm not going to call any party.
Even if you do not want to call what that reverend father did, I hope the church as a body addresses that.
If that is not addressed, it is a dangerous precedent where you say that if you don't vote for this woman, what killed the husband will kill you. It's on record. A priest. And when you went on to say that if you don't vote for that very woman, you will remain cursed for life.
Let's not feed that, Tony.
See,
let's stick to the number of people we have coming out to vote. The number is not tangible.
We are going to address these things because we are the watchdog of the society. If we say we won't talk about this, it will continue and people will see it.
No, I said let's not feed it.
No. We are going to say everything. It is something that the Catholic Diocese of Onitsha must sanction that very priest. If they don't take a position, there was a time Oka, a priest of Oka Diocese, did the same thing. One priest, I know his name, Oka Diocese came, Catholic Diocese came and took a position and dissociated the diocese from the remarks made by that priest
against sanctions.
Yes, I don't know about the sanction, but they came out and they said that definitely they are not into, and they said a lot of things saying that they will not allow it again. And in this election, that priest did not talk again. Now, in this present election, it happens that Onitsha Archdiocese seems to keep quiet about this very priest who uses religion to threaten people. For me, do you know what it is? This is religious banditry, pulpit banditry. Use pulpit to threaten people. If they don't vote here, they will die, they will be cursed, nothing will happen. You don't do it, and many will go home and believe it is going to be that way. It is one of the issues also, because when we are talking about money, when we are talking about issue of voters apathy, when we are talking about those who are jumping queue, and the issue of using religion as a war to sway voters. See, if you put these things together, money and that of pulpit banditry, they are of the same class. There's no difference. Pulpit banditry and money, what do you call it, they are of the same class. But the thing remains that you don't preach message of devil and say you are preaching the message of God.
So
we must condemn it in totality.
This conversation, because we need to quickly go on a commercial, I was wondering how we could bridge the gap between our people and, of course, their civil right, which is to vote. A lot of people are not interested, simply put.
It's a problem. It's a problem. But from what I saw on Saturday, even women, youth, they came out, even the elderly. If what I saw on Saturday, based on places I went to and the reports we got, if they continue to repeat or replicate what happened on Saturday, we will get there. If you look around, the last election we had in the state, either the general election, yes, people, Southeast, they turned out very well to vote against what they usual or against the level of turnout we have had in the past. But Southeast is becoming more involved, and we want it to also continue. It's important. The idea is you can't be on social media welling, and I've said it many times. Many people who are on social media welling, they don't have voters card. How can you be politically conscious? You try to promote a candidate on social media, yet you don't have a voter card. You don't even vote. What is essence? You are telling people what to do. But at the same time, you cannot even do that. So we've discovered that so many people don't have voters card for one reason or the other. And probably they are making money out of what they are doing. There is never a polling unit or polling booth on social media. People should know that. There are people that will usually win election on social media, even on radio. But the point remains that election is local. It is something you have to go and get accredited and cast a vote. I have always believed in the electoral system. It is not yet Uhuru. We are not there. We have issues, and I pointed out these issues. We must have in our electoral system where each of money in any form, whether you call it appreciation pack, whatever pack you call it, must be criminalized in our electoral law. Issue of religious and pulpit banditry must be also criminalized. And even if you go to section 84 of the Electoral Act, you will see where situations whereby some of these things we are somehow mentioned, but there is no sanction on any of these persons. If a political party gets involved, get disqualified. If agents of a political party gets involved in the name of the political party without any link to the political party, the agents will get imprisonment and barred from anything election for past or for in the next 10 years or 20 years. Then if he's a priest, the priest will get also prosecuted and face the wrath of the law. So the point remains that not just in southern Nigeria, if you go to northern Nigeria, it's also the same thing. We see imam, afars, many of them come to the mosque telling the worshippers what to do. In fact, there was a report sometime somewhere around Kano or thereabout during the 2015 general election, where a particular imam was telling people the same thing, pulpit banditry, that if they don't do this, in fact, where it is promised they will head to, once they pass this life, they will not inherit that place, and every of entitlement and inheritance will be something that will elude them. Imam.
Okay.
So that is pulpit.
Pulpit banditry. After the break, I have lots of questions. So after the break, we get to attend to those questions.
Definitely.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Anambra Patriots for Soludo. Ndanambra gakwanotio une kwekwane ka ewere unu wee gbochie ọrụ ọma Chukwu nna Chichas Soludo wee na-arụ na Anambra steeti. Unu makwa na anyụkọ mamịrị ọnụ ọkpụ ụfụfụ. Ngwa bịakọtanụ n'igwe ka ịkwado nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chukwu ma Chichas Soludo. Unu afụghị ihe niile ọ na-eme na mbara dị iche iche site na Anambra North, South to Central. Na-ekwu okporo ụzọ niile nke ọrụgo, na-ekwu ụlọ akwụkwọ nke ọ na-emepe, na-ekwu hospital nke ọrụgo. Unu afụgono ka ụmụ nwaanyị anyị si wee na-amụ nwa n'udo free of charge. Ụmụ akwụkwọ wee na-agụ akwụkwọ n'efu. Ihe a niile ya na ihe ndị ọzọ ka Chukwu ma Chichas Soludo na-eme na Anambra steeti. A na-ekwusi maka New Government House nke kwuru okwu ya kemgbe 1991, ya bụ 34 years na ya na Soludo arụgharịghị ya. Kedu maka New Solution Fund City? Nwanne m Soludo nọ n'ọrụ. Ndị Anambra ọrụ ọma ama nkwụkwọ agụ bịanụ n'igwe ka ịkwado nwanne anyị nwoke bụ Chukwu ma Chichas Soludo. Anambra Patriots for Soludo.
From the commercial city of Onitsha comes Udala Radio 104.7 FM, the voice of the region, where authentic news and entertainment meet. Udala Radio 104.7 FM, seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
The conversation is absolutely still on here on the Radio 104.7 FM, The Polity. My name is Chisom. Franklin is here. Anthony Mbeki is also here. Frank, you said you have a lot of questions.
Yes, lots of questions.
Unburden.
Lots of questions. But before then, you can go to our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM, and get involved in this very conversation, okay? So you have talked about a whole lot of things. Of course, I have to point out this because we need to start from the foundation. Of course, the elections we had those elections in 12 states. and I think about 19 federal constituencies, whether federal or state. And at the end of the day, we have seen the result. I think the only result left now is that of Zamfara State, which were declared inconclusive, because the difference between the person who is leading and the person following him is less than the number of voters registered in 2 polling units where election was cancelled. Then, like I mentioned before, that the rerun in Enugu State didn't hold because of certain things that developed, tension, rose, and the INEC was unable to conduct that. Then, now coming to Anambra, before I get to extrapolate, because one thing I have to point out first is this, that in Anambra State, election held in Anambra South in the district and then Onitsha North 1 constituency. And I know that Onitsha is metropolitan. We can't say that there's any way in Onitsha that is a hard-to-reach area. But guess what? Election materials arrive in some places late. As of 10 a.m., there are places where election materials were yet to arrive. And it doesn't speak good of us, because if we're going to manage a small election and we say had issue with the logistics, that speaks ill. Or was there any arrangement somewhere between some INEC officials and some politicians to deny people of their right to vote? If that is the case, of course, we have to deal with that very one. Then one interesting thing that also happened over the weekend, that was on Saturday, was the fact that the election was able to hold in some places that we are seen as security high-risk areas, the likes of Lilu. Of course, election held there. Okija, election held in some places there. Likewise, here, election also.
You didn't also add my hometown.
Osumo.
You didn't also add my hometown.
So it was a good thing that election held in those places. But I must point out too that police told us the number of persons they deployed, that they will ensure security is guaranteed everywhere. But in some of these polling units, we didn't see security men in those places. So it's a shortfall on the side of the police, that they have to ensure that in such elections they get to address those loopholes that we witnessed. Then we haven't talked about the irregularities, which we are going to talk about. But let me talk about the issue of a vote buying, which you have highlighted so much. Like you mentioned, that all parties were involved, and we saw that it has been upped. It's no longer the issue of, let me give you 1,000, 2,000. 5,000 was given, 10,000 was given, 20 was given, 25,000 was given. Whether in Anambra State or beyond Anambra State, these are figures that can be verified that they were given. Then that and that makes you to wonder whether it is still the issue of poverty that these politicians are trying to exploit, or that our people have normalized this practice of seeking to get gratification before you get to exercise your civic responsibility. Whether you get it before or not becomes relevant. So Tony was saying that some persons who got money, they got the money after they have voted. But I must tell you that it's something arranged. Of course, they must have met you somewhere and tell you, vote for us, write your name after this, come to some place and come and meet us. I will tell you what happened in the last group election we had in Anambra State. I observed in Noka, and of course, people I knew. I see people who were going about with POS. That was them when we were having cash crunch. Okay. Many of them were given POS, and they had money loaded in accounts. They would just come to polling unit, take your names, and then tell you where to meet them. Once you are voted, you go there, they make transfer to you. So this kind of arrangement, we have seen it, and we know that it happens. But what I'm trying to understand is it because people are poor? Is it because we have hardship in the country, or that we have normalized it that for us to vote, we need to be gratified, and we need to be given some perks, in quote, for us to vote? And we're talking about law, because I know that in the Electoral Act of 2022, of course, Section 121, talks about, it's an offense for any person to directly or indirectly give, provide, or receive money, gifts, loans, employment, food, drinks, or any other form of gratification to influence a voter to vote or refrain from voting. Now, the law says that both the giver, whether you're a politician, party agent, or supporter, and the receiver, the voter, that they are liable. And the penalty for this is up to 500,000 naira or imprisonment of up to 12 months or both. This is provided in this law. And the essence is that those who drafted this very law, they were envisaging that vote buying, vote selling, and other forms of electoral inducement, of course, they have become part of our system. So we have to find a way to make the law to work. I think we need to give effect to the law, which is existing, because you look at when you see all these things, sometimes in some places where it happens, you see policemen who are supposed to ensure that this law is enforced. They do nothing. So if police doesn't arrest anybody, so how can we not give effect to this very law? So it's a responsibility on the security forces for them to ensure that they do what they're supposed to do. Now let's talk about irregularity that happened in the Anambra State. So I don't know if you saw the video of what happened in Orifite, where a supposed candidate of a party diverted election material to his house in connivance with security agents. It's not to dog at you. It's soldiers.
Yeah.
The video is there in the internet for people to verify. And we saw how the local government chairman in Ekusigo, how him, PG of Orifite, I was able to spot all of them. And guess what? When I was in Orifite, that thing happened close to where I was residing. The moment I saw the house, I said, this is where I know. And I saw how security men were positioned on top of the building as snipers. Just check the video and see. And that worries me. I was not asking, in this our time, that we're talking about how do we get to reform Nigeria? How do we get better pay for policemen and soldiers? And then policemen and soldiers are aiding politicians to divert election materials into someone's house.
Okay.
I think the politicians are supposed to make laws that will make their pay better.
I think it will be very fair here, because there may be people who may not have seen the video. I watched the video. It was so disturbing. The person in the video, the candidate of APC for Guba election, was the one who was alleged to have diverted the election materials to his house.
Did this say candidate for Guba election? Is it Guba election or senatorial election?
I'm talking about the video I watched, because the altercation between the deputy governor and the
not that very one. I'll come to that very one.
Okay,
I'm talking about the one that happened in Orifite.
Okay, I'm talking about the one that happened in Osumei.
We'll get to that very one. The one that happened in Orifite.
Okay, now the one that happened at Orifite, because we saw two videos. I wanted to start with the one that happened at Osumei. The one that happened at Orifite, it was an eyesore, and people, it is condemnable. Situations where you have election materials. When you talk about election materials, you're talking about sensitive materials, both the result sheet, both the ballot papers, both the ballot box. You carried everything, the candidates of APC for that election, and then you took it home. So what it means that your home has become the collation center. That's what it is. And then situation whereby some soldiers were deployed, were used to ensure this irregularity. We call it political terrorism. That is what it is. Political terrorism. And for you, that is the only way you can win the election. And you took it, and just the video we saw some people mounted on top of the building as snipers. What it means that if you come close, what it means, they may shoot you down. And it happened in Orifite. The candidate of APC for that election diverted, took all these materials home, and where his home becomes the polling unit. One, it is political terrorism. We also saw another video, where a whole ballot paper, the bulletin, was printed. This time around, I have the video. So everything I'm saying here, I can use video to show you. Where ADC, they printed on ADC in all of the bullets, all of the ballot paper bulletin. The video is still here. Any video we saw, we'll talk about it. So for me, the other one, the one of pre-thumb printing entire ballot bulletin, even before the actual election, that one is political robbery. The one of diverting election materials, both sensitive and non-sensitive, to a candidate's home, that one is political terrorism.
Now, let's then get to other things, because we also saw reports that there was this very, should I call it an assault or an attack on the Anambra Commissioner for Environment, Engineer Felix Odumebu. That happened in Nnewi South. We saw that very one too. Then we also saw the video of the clash between Anambra Deputy Governor Dr. Onyeka Chukwuibezim and them, the APC Guba candidate in Anambra State, talking about Prince Nicholas Ukachukwu. I think that happened precisely in Osumei, which happens to be the hometown of the APC Guba candidate. Of course, it was all about the right to move about during the election. Now, the APC candidate was saying to the deputy governor, you don't have a right to leave Anambra Central and come to Anambra South for no reason or for whatever reason. Then it became heated because I'm trying to point out the facts here. It became heated because in that very video, you see, I saw the deputy governor telling his orderlies, round him up, arrest him, and he said, arrest who? I will burn down your cars here. You won't go anywhere. Blah blah blah. So it became volatile. That I must thank that man. You know, the DSS orderly attached to DSS, attached to deputy governor. I think I know him personally. The way he managed it, he was trying to pull his boss out of the situation. Let this not escalate. So the way they managed it was impressive. Now coming to the facts of what happened, because the very first part I want us to establish is this. That movement that the deputy governor made to leave Anambra Central and go to Sumeni for whatever reason, did he have the right to make such movement? That's number one. Then number two, the statement he made ran him up. Was it a good statement in that heat of the moment? Before we not talk about the way Okachukwu responded and what this could portend for November 8th Gube election.
And now the question is, another thing I would also wanted to point, what, based on their own findings, what did the candidate of APC, what did he do?
No, he said, I think he said he was moving around. It was his own town. It's his own town. He has to go around and show things that things are going well.
It was alleged that the candidate was going around taking ballot boxes. It was alleged that he was, deploying talks to take ballot boxes, take ballot, or some of these things, the way we saw it in Orifite. So, and there is this belief that no one is talking, no one is doing anything. And then if that is not stopped, if that is not challenged, it may count to the electoral results. It may be part of electoral results. So the political parties, remember why they were, if they are in context, yes, none of them have right to movement during election, especially in election area. We must establish that fact. But situation where one person is making that movement, allegedly taking ballot boxes and all that, and the other party got to know about it and then went straight that place to challenge him, to stop him from doing that. For me, the other party that went to challenge him is not saying, I'm going to stop you so that you will count in my own favor. No, to stop your electoral irregularity. One would say, is it left for him to stop him? Yes, INEC and police are the ones to stop him. But situations where they are not doing those work and where that may count against my party, there is always this saying amongst political parties, no kadi elifonye mwanya. They will always tell you that, okay? Adi elifonye mwanya na mwanya. Okachi bili fem. And you ask me to wait for police, you ask me to wait for INEC, you want me so that it will count, so you will tell me go to court. That Okadi Elifonya Mwanya. I think what the deputy governor did was a case of Okadi Elifonya Mwanya.
There's an argument that he should have given the report to the police or coordinate with the party agents and coordinators who are in that local government area for them to ensure that nothing was subverted.
Somebody with soldiers, somebody with heavy and high-handed security, are calling agent that without soldier, without a policeman, and you're calling INEC officials that once they hear a bullet, they will all run away. See, it takes.
So are you saying that there's a justification for
definitely
the movement he made?
Definitely.
Even when he broke the law.
Hold on.
Even when he broke a rule or a law.
Who broke? See, let me ask you something. There is a traffic rule, right? And somebody is, going one way. If I'm driving, I will use my car to block the person who is going one way, even when it's not my duty, even when it's not my job. The idea is we need to stop him because he will cause more accidents. If he's allowed.
Do you want to become Kwan One and value jet?
No. We are not talking about Kwan One here.
Because can two wrong?
It's not like you are trying to stop humongous problem. See, it's just like somebody driving on a one way, and you yourself, you are coming another way. You may be trying to say, let me avoid this man also before I will get knocked. The idea of stopping the person is to avert any accident that one way.
While that is noted, Tony, I understand your perspective, but with things like this that would need more of a legal way to handle better, do you not think that he stepped out of the law in a way that he was also endangered.
Let me tell you something. The deputy governor, remember, he has Audley. And then before he was asked to come in, no other person could have challenged him. What he did was a case of last resort. He couldn't have left his office to come and stop this man. Nobody could have stopped him. Nobody. So deputy governor was called upon by the party. The party rallied round and asked, look at what this man is doing. He's moving around, taking so many things, and these things are counting in their favor, and nobody's talking, moving around with soldiers. And you want agent to stop him, you want Kotima to stop him, you want, and at the end of the day it will count. So it took that effort of deputy governor to stop him. The arrangement was to stop him. That was the arrangement. And if you ask, is that his duty to do? No, it's not his duty. But that's what they call exigency. Exigency demands that he must be stopped.
Now,
if he's not stopped, definitely it would count as okay. They say it's not.
All right. Tony, let's talk about the statement they made.
Okay.
Statement from the deputy governor. He said, round him up to arrest him, and he said, "You are going nowhere. I'm going to burn down your cars."
Okay.
Those two statements, it could have become escalated.
Yeah.
If it was not managed well, and I was just wondering what that could have resulted to.
Okay.
Can we say that the two of them, they went overboard in the statement? Can we say that? If you can say yes on there, because I have other questions too.
I think if look at me, let me say this. When you say you are going to burn down the cars of deputy governor, that car does not belong to him. You're indirectly saying you are going to burn down the cars of the government, the same government you want to serve. That's what it means. Those cars you see, those convoy, they do not belong to the deputy governor. It belongs to that office. It belongs to the office. So if you burn down the government property, it does not market you well. That is one. And when deputy governor says get him arrested, and if he's arrested, he'll be handed over to police. Anybody has power to arrest. If you can arrest anybody, the point is, if you arrest, do you hand the person over to the police? Not you arrest and take over the person. No. He said round him off and get him arrested. Arrested on what? For moving around with soldiers and doing all he was actually alleged. The word there is alleged, because we are not court. It is court that will conduct independent investigation, listen to every party and make a statement. So I'm very careful with my words. The word there is alleged. So for the fact he was alleged to have been moving around with soldiers, taking ballot boxes, and at the same time taking electoral materials, and there was urgent need to get him stopped, and deputy governor did that. For me, it is totally justifiable. Totally justifiable. And the next statement he said, for the fact he was seen doing this, get him arrested. The idea, anybody can arrest, but when you arrest, hand over to the police. But the way it was managed, there's no problem. I like the way it was managed. And he said, I can burn down this your car and you're going nowhere. For me, that statement smacks toggery.
All right. So Tony, let's quickly address some other questions, because I want us to talk about. Chisom had talked about the turnout, because I've done the mathematics. For the Onitsha North One constituency, it was around 12.6% turnout. Then for the Anambra South, I think around 11-12% turnout when you compare it with the number of registered voters in those very area. But I just want to quickly rush to what happened in this very good by-election. If it has any, not good by-election, the by-elections, if it has any significance in relation to what is going to happen November 8 governorship election. That's number one. Yeah. The number two is, I'm trying now to extrapolate, because APC triumphed in majority of the states where the election was held. Talking about the by-elections, we had election in 16 constituencies and in 12 states. And APC won in 12 constituencies, APGA 1 in 2, PDP 1, NMPP 1, and then we have one inconclusive in Adamawa State. Now, where I'm going to is ADC didn't win anything, and some persons are already trying to make some allusion that it shows that ADC is not existing. But can you judge ADC with the outcome of this election, knowing that the coalition was just unveiled on July 1st, 2025, and also ADC didn't field candidates in some of these positions contested? And then for us here in Anambra, for us in Anambra, from what happened between Okachukwu and the deputy governor, does it make Anambra South volatile in November? November 8th
has always been volatile. We know that for sure. And you ask, does it make it volatile? And we saw the primary elections of APC. It was a replica of what happened in Orifite and Osumeng. We saw their primary election. I think Valentine Ozibo is still in court, even when the court has told him that issue of nomination of a candidate is the sole responsibility of a political party. I don't know if he's going on appeal or if he had appealed that. So now, Anambra South has been volatile, especially during elections, as a result of the heavyweight. And then the issue of these demigods, some politicians, for whatever reason, think they are. Many of the politicians from our South, I'm from Anambra South. Many of our politicians feel that they are demigods and they would not like to play according to the rule. They will not want to abide by the rule. And that is why you have all these problems, all this volatility, vulnerability across different divides. But that's by the way. But the truth remains that the ADC not winning. ADC is just more like they are just coming on board. And you asked, would this be used to gauge them in the general election in Nigeria? The answer is no. And one thing I have discovered is this: each time whenever Obi is on the ballot, especially, people vote for him. But whenever he tells people to vote for another candidate, they don't. We saw that in Edo State, where he asked people to vote for Lumida Bata. In fact, all the candidates he has supported, right from the time he supported Valo Zibo or Selo Kobaze, and many of them he has supported, nobody responded. For people, they would think you are the one they are looking out for, not the people you're asking them to vote for. So, and for what happened in Anambra State, it is a sign that should not be ignored. It's a big sign. And what happened in Anambra State about the dominance is too much. If you look at the dominance, from the look of things, I met a banker before that election. I don't know if I had told this story. I met a banker during that election. I asked the banker, I have known her for a very long time, and she works with one of these new generation banks. I'm not going to call her name. I asked the banker, have you voted? The banker said, yes, I have voted. I asked the banker, who did you vote? The banker told me, I voted, the ruling party in Anambra State. I asked, why? Why didn't you vote for ADC? And look at, I'm seeing solar light here. He said, this solar light was brought the election week. I said, who brought the solar light? He said, oh, it was Tony Wade that brought the solar light. He brought it at the week of election. That's what the banker was telling me. I said, but is that not enough to make you vote for ADC? The solar light, I'm seeing is also, oh, he's just remembering us now. But all this why? We had no solar light. I said, but why did you vote for the ABGA? You voted. I said, of course. That my sister benefited from one youth 2 skill programs, that before she also got this banking job, she also benefited. That alone, even when not in election period, gladdened her heart. And that was the decision she took, not the solar light she saw. It was my earnest conversation, and before God and man, this was what transpired. But anybody could have a reason to do whatever he does. And there are political statements. Anybody can make political statements, but the truth remains that you can well anywhere, but the actual welling should be at the ballot. At the ballot. That's where the actual welling should take on. I've been waiting to see where it was. Most times, whatever I see, the videos we've seen flying around, we've seen the one of ADC, we've also seen the one of APC. I'm waiting. And if anybody has any infraction committed by ABGA, the person should also bring it. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it, we dissect it and mention those involved. It's not about any party. The idea is to make sure that the proper things are done. No matter what, there are times things will not suit you. There are times statements may not suit you. But for me, I have always said, like the issue of the Electoral Act you read, section 121. I look at that section. It was talking about gift, it was talking about loan, it was talking about mention money. I know money could be in form of gift, there's no doubt. Because if you read that very section again, I was hoping where they will say money, call it by its name. not give to loan if any candidate. If you read that very section again, it will tell you that if any candidate, if any party, this and that. Probably we need to quickly read it out so that people understand. Any person who does any of the following, not any person, any political party or person. I think they should also amend that, please. Any political party or person, then they just wrote any person, directly or indirectly, by himself or by any person or his or her behalf, corruptly makes any gift, loan, offer, promise, procurement or agreement for any person in order to induce such person to procure or to endeavor to procure the return of any person as a member. See, we must be clear with some of these things. All these things are grammar. Be specific. They are absorbing political parties in all of these because they are using the word person or person or person or person. Why don't you use the word political party as well?
Those are part of the reforms that we have been pushing for. I recall the conversation about making some amendments to our electoral laws.
Yes,
have been on the what I say in the conversation for quite some time now. I recall the other day we looked at some of the clauses that are presently being debated before they get to the public hearing and all of that. But then, before we open up the phone lines real quick, the federal government has backtracked and NLC is holding ground on issues concerning workers' compensations. We're also learning that NSITF is moving to avert a strike, and FGE is saying that the AGF will refund workers. The federal government has pledged to reverse deductions from the employees' compensation scheme managed by the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund to ease tensions with the Nigeria Labour Congress, following the threat of a nationwide strike by the union. Last week, the NLC accused the federal government of diverting 40% of NSITF contributions to the government's treasury. The NLC said the move undermines workers' social protection and demanded both an immediate refund and the full reconstitution of the National Pension Commission Board, warning that non-compliance could trigger industrial action nationwide. Tony, quickly react to that and we open the phone lines.
I think there's no much to talk. From what you've just said, it's important we know that it is what it is. That is my own response to that. It is what it is. In fact, it has become what it is. Anytime we are serious in this country, we take some things serious and do what we are supposed to do.
All right, then you can join the conversation now. Do not forget we are live on Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 FM. You can drop your comment right under the video that is being streamed on the go, 0803-221-6973 or 080-3827-6694 are the numbers to call to be a part of the conversation. But we quickly attend to this commercial before we open the phone lines. Do stay.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic. Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, I'll pack it on the yellow. Wendy's bread, mama, papa, they like Wendy's bread, touch it on and do. Wendy's bread, even children, they like Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, Wendy's bread, you get it better, tasty, we go sweet your belly. Wendy's bread, Wendy's your body, Wendy's bread,
Wendy's bread, your tasty bread. You can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Onitsha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
It is your cue to get involved. Let's hear what you have to say. Hello, good morning. Get straight to the point. You have 2 minutes. Be as objective as possible. Turn on the volume on your radio set.
good morning.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Good morning. Can you hear us? Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Is Hillary calling?
Hillary, please be as fast as possible.
Okay. Please, I want to give an observation.
Okay.
The Tony Olisa Mbeki there with so much love in all his analysis.
Leave my observation, please. Leave my observation. I don't need it. I don't need your observation. Please make your own statements, please.
Okay, the whole statement is that I don't believe on what you are saying. Look at
Okay, it's good. Go straight to the point. Your point is that you do not totally agree with him. Can you just say that without going around the circles? Hello, good morning.
An amazing morning to you, Chisom Chinedu.
Good morning.
Olisa Mbeki, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much, Honorable DK Kenechuku, reaching you live from Onitsha.
Go ahead, DK. You have 2
This
minutes.
by-election, nobody should use it to compare the general election or state governorship election. By-election, anything can happen in it. And 2023 general elections, even taxi drivers won seat through that particular 2023 general election. Well, when Peter Obi was fielded as the Labour Party presidential candidate, a lot of people who were supposed to be in the Senate today are there because of Mr. Peter. So when you come to by-election, you don't use it to compare a general election. It's a different ballgame. Most times, by-election, state governors, some state party actors used to hijack it. That's just the simple truth here. And most times, you look at election when it comes up this way, you ask yourself a question: why are we so much, trying to make it a do-or-die affair? This is why the Canadian government branded APC and PDP and some parties in Nigeria as a terrorist party. Okay? And when you brand them a terrorist party, notwithstanding, the government is also a terrorist government. Because you don't allow the people to vote to count. Look at what is happening, deputy governor and APC candidate, throwing banters at each other. The deputy governor, with all due respect, must know that he's a public officer. Must have to call himself to order. You don't just jump inside the gutter because every other person jumps inside the gutter. You need to follow the due process. So to me, I don't want to justify that. When you say you're a prof, you behave like one. You can't be a prof and you start behaving like someone that, I don't know what I would call it. So this is what we are seeing under APC administration, that most governors are commended. This is what we see under them. Okay?
All right.
So I think let's do the right thing here. Let's get the record straight. Let's do the right thing and ensure that, people that are looking up to us must say that these people are getting it right. Let cannot continue this way. Let actors cannot continue this way. Are you telling me that if Ifa and Yoba is alive today, that seat will be won by Apuga? We know the stuff is made of. And he gives everybody a run for his money. So what we are trying to say is that the right thing should be done at the right time and allow the people to go to count. Because one thing is certain. Before the Canadian government will begin to, or other governments of the world, tomorrow it may be China. And they have to find themselves to be blamed. So I think that by-election, nobody should use it to compare to what is coming up in November 8 or 9, which is the gubernatorial election, and the general election that is also forthcoming. That's just my take this morning. Thank you so much.
All right, then. Go straight to the point. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Chisom and Olisa Mbeki.
Good morning. Go ahead,
You're welcome.
please.
Yeah. Well, let's take this thing very clear. The deputy governor did not reach any law. The man just wants to stop the irregularity that APC is trying to cause in Anambra South. That's the pure truth here. You cannot tell me that you don't have a visitor to go there during the election. Then you need people. What of that thing that the man that the Ukatu is doing? Bring violence to even the youth. Well, but I'm not surprised because we know that this year there are people that are troubles. So what deputy governor did is excellent. Put it in that way. You cannot leave somebody criminal to terrorizing people. You say that maybe the court will ask you if this is your decision. Then you know whether your brother or your mother will die here. So let us get this in straight. The deputy governor did very well. And let's
much. Well,
Let's hear someone else.
Let,
Okay.
let me say something. Please, when you call, for the last person who called, he called, he said it's not proper for you to call on air and then tag a party in certain way. We should be fair to everybody. That's not it.
All right, then. You try to play fair. All right. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Are you there? Good morning.
Good morning,
Good morning.
gentlemen and ladies in the studio. Please, I'm calling from Ogosi.
Go ahead.
The last election, the way we see it, Tony is analyzing it the other way around. And it's very unfortunate. I don't know whether Tony has become a politician. For you to come to the station...
Please, can you say your own opinion? Leave me. Say your own opinion.
Tony, you don't tell us like that. You don't talk to us like that. You listen.
Why would you... Alright, try to be as objective as possible. Go straight to the point. 0803-221-6973, 0803-827-6694. Stick to the 2 minutes mark, and when you put that call across, turn down the volume on your radio set. You can also go to Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 and drop your comment right under that video. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good
morning.
My lady.
Good morning.
Calm the house down. That's your duty. You said, darling. They're just talking about election. Nothing.
Go ahead, please, Agazi.
Sister Tony Olisa Mbeki. You are a leader. Huh? Come on. My friend Franklin, you got a voice, so one more. Down to the issue at hand. My name is Odazis. I'm reaching you from Udala, Delta State. My opinion towards our politics in Nigeria is that we should start as a matter of emergency, think of what to do with our style of democratic governance. I said it before now. This election should be like a litmus test for what we're going to see. And we saw that. And I keep insisting that, one, if we must practice the American system that we're aiming, blindly, we will get people from another clime to come and conduct our elections. We can't get it right in Nigeria. We don't have the clout. We don't have the strength. We don't have the structure. We don't even have the tenacity to do American system of democracy. All the times that have tried and said went ahead and manufactured their own kind of democracy. And they're working beginning from the Far East, Saudi Arabia, down here, even in Africa here. And they're succeeding. I think we should get some sanity into our lives. Start our homegrown democracy that we can appreciate some more. Look at the election that has just finished. With a record of 20% voter turnout in any part of the country. What kind of democracy is that? You get 8% of people to run 200 million or 100 million or 50 million. We know it is wrong. Let's try and think inward and know how to do. And this is not them. The people, they know what they're... Whose money are they sharing? It's our common party money. So let's calm down and begin to think inward. Thank you. Have a good day.
All right, then. You have a good day, too. Go straight to the points. Good morning.
Hello, good
yes,
morning.
Are you there? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Chisom. My name is Honorable George, calling from Asaba.
Go ahead, George.
I must say that the deputy governor is not a policeman and is not an INEC official. Let us call spade a spade for once in this country. Because you see, let me say something here. Okay, does it mean that if as a government that is not a deputy governor, is he supposed to be there by that time? I think there's a restriction of movement. Because in Nigeria, we understand that once there's election, everybody will go back to the local government and go and vote. Even the president don't move around. You doing election day, you can go and know the way things are going to different places. Let us just consider this, because the way we are handling this country now, tomorrow the other turn. One day, this turn will come and gone. Another person will sit down there as a governor. It may not even be a Abuja governor. It may be a different political party governor. Are we still going to be saying it this way? Come on, I say this is that we understand everything that happens on that election day. So many people, so many videos, so many reports have came out about the way they are doing also about spending money, voting buying. We not change it that it's compensatory. I myself I vote, so I know the normal way they normally do it. Sometimes they will say, if you vote, raise your hand. They will not say, more, we know the political party, and they will put an agent watching to know the political party you vote for. Once you come and they will say, now our party vote for, more than give and sort in our party, and that guy vote for, the APC vote for, more than give and sort. That is the normal way they do it. We all vote in this country. So I'm not trying to say that you can't do because you're in the power and you have the state money, you're not taking oppressing other people. And just after the assembly election, what is going to happen on the D-Day? The main election that is coming, what I want is going to happen. So let us concentrate in this country for us to be able to have progress tomorrow. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's hear you. Good morning. Go straight to the point.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Are you there? We can hear you.
Okay, Dr. Obuji is my name, please.
Go ahead.
Tony, please, my advice to you.
Okay, can we not do that? Dr. Obuji, what is your opinion concerning the topics we have discussed?
My opinion is in the issue of last week's Saturday's election.
Go ahead. Let's hear you on that.
Somebody, because ordinarily you put your hand for the person, you give that person 20,000. And the analysis you were giving there was as if the things were okay. And that the Reverend Father that preached, whoever that does not vote this one, is a very bad one. This. What of those that were giving money? If we are doing this on the
Obuji, can you hear me, please?
Yes.
I'd ask you one question, right? Yes. If we all go to an auction, now I ain't bazaar. Will you blame me more gazielum? I am going to put a caveat. Reality may not always be fair. But in all fairness, what Tony pointed out was the reality. Whether it is right or wrong was not the subject of the conversation. And he was clear on that. I'm sorry, but you are the one twisting things here. We all listened, we all paid attention, and if there is one thing that was clear, it is the fact that this is the truth about the situation. The constitution is not explicit on whether it is right or wrong. I recall he was also talking about the constitution not being explicit about political parties and hinting most on a person. We pointed out that the constitution has not really fought this. The reality on ground is that this happened. We also reported this on Saturday. Is it right or wrong? We pointed out that the constitution has not even gotten ready for us as a people to fight this. I hope that is clear enough. Now, when you put a call across, can you please understand that Tony is the analyst and is entitled to his own opinion? So please go straight to the point. Tell us your opinion on the matter and do not, for the love of God, beat around the bush. Good morning.
My name is Comrade Walton. I'm calling you from Onitsha.
Go ahead.
Can I go?
Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Let me start from, condemning the statement credited to a Catholic priest, few days before the election. And I can tell you, Onitsha Archdiocese will not do anything about it, because in Catholic Church, there are priests who are sacred cows who can say anything they like and go away with it. I'm a Catholic. So let nobody misunderstand my this thing. I'm a Catholic. Now, let me go to Africa as a political party. The one I can substantiate. Africa shared money. I spoke with one of their, my friends. Okay, they were sharing money. And the video I saw about the booklet, ADC, from printed ADC, I saw everything. It points towards one direction, that this election is a show of shame. Even a caller in this radio station said that he was given 20,000 naira, and the legal man report to him. Yes, I saw everything. So I wonder what.
But are you there? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? If you followed us on Saturday, Aligo himself called here also to report what he saw.
Okay, I don't know.
Like I said earlier.
I'm talking about the caller who called in his program that he was given 20,000 naira. And I was wondering what somebody gave you such amount of money. What else do you want from that person when he gets to that office? So it is a show of shame. I'm not limiting it to any political party, but I'm telling you the one I am sure of. Now, for those who are working they should know that P2V is not in the ballot. Yes, P2V is not in the ballot. P2V told me to vote for somebody. Does not say that I will vote for that person. That is why I have advocated for independent candidacy, because political party in Nigeria is a mess. There's nothing like political party in Nigeria. Let me put it that way. There's nothing like political. What you have in Nigeria is just a group of people with a particular interest.
All right,
so that is why I have advocated for independent candidacy.
You should be rounding off. You should be rounding off.
Let me round off. Until the deputy governor of Anambra State is able to prove, because what Tony used is allegedly, and I concur with him. Until he is able to prove beyond reasonable that what he accused the guy of doing is the truth, I will still bring him to go in there. Yes.
All right then. Good morning. Let's head over to Facebook at Udala Radio 104.7 to see what you have to say.
Okay, so let's see. Plenty of them. Let's see. Amaracho Kugeyu says, okay, God bless you for analysis. In my own time, what we have is sent forth for some level and not the whole school. Okay, I think I can understand where she's
talking about the first conversation.
Yes, and then Oluchi Chima says, okay, he says the truth is that politicians know why they want us to be hungry, so that they can be using hunger as a weapon to perpetuate their electoral fraud by buying votes. And he's saying, okay, he said kudos to evil politicians. They really bought enough votes to win the so-called election on Saturday. Okay, we now get to the next post by Chike Nathan Akwobi. He says, it's all vote buying, and the biggest bidder won, and that's the point Chike has made. Then Kalistos Chibike says, let me tell you, okay, what that guy is doing in Anambra State. He's sending PG in every community in Anambra. He's an ABGA member, and governor told them to make sure that they deliver their communities. Okay, then Godwin Uchenna says, politics can change a good man to a bad man within seconds. Okay, all right. Okay, so got that. Thank you. And then Nobatu Chokoye says, what the priest preach is condemnable. But remember, our governor Soludo threatens some communities that if they don't vote his party, there will be no project for them. Okay, he said, let's talk about that too. Then Godwin Uchenna says, our people are irredeemable. Okay, complete absurdity. The minds of the Hoi police cannot be redeemed. The government of the day has weaponized hunger, thereby making it impossible for someone to reason like a human being. He says, I'm a cyclist, but what I witnessed some of my colleagues do was totally repulsive. How can you sell your conscience because of ordinary 10,000 naira for 8 years? I felt like weeping. The minds of our people are completely deteriorating, and I'm afraid cannot be redeemed again. Okay, several other posts. As a Hillary, Okay, thank you for your post. Plenty of them because I'm just want to acknowledge your name so that we can wrap up. As a Hillary, Chikinet and Akwobi, and Kalistos Chibike, Sebastian Igwe, thank you. As a Hillary again, okay. Honorable Odogu Nepempe, thank you. James Okay God, thank you too for dropping your comment. Mazimore Chikwadorom, thank you. And Comrade Stanley Esiob, thank you for dropping your comment. Ostino Ezeudo, thank you. Eze Samuel, Cynthia and Kem. Then, okay, Chikenetan again. Oba Anthony Kem. Ekoma, or rather, Okeoma, God Passion, John Mbwe. The Fakosi, Ojeku, Sontojuku, Nick Eze, and some other person. Thank you for all the comments you have dropped on our Facebook page. Of course, we'll take time to analyze all the comments, but we acknowledge your post.
All right, then, gentlemen, let's quickly round off by analyzing the comments.
I think I'm still saying what I said earlier on about the movement of the deputy governor, and I made just a quick analogy about it. There is fire on this building, and the rule says it can only be quenched by the firefighters or fire service. The rule says, and then we know they have been the one by law that stops fire. Does it mean that when they do not come, somebody cannot use his tank or private tank or government bringing tank to stop the fire? What was happening at that Osumenyi was a case of fire. And
you are alluding it to fire, please.
No, I'm using analogy. Where urgency, I was saying it here, exigency supersedes rule. Exigency supersedes rule, because if that is not stopped, it will bring damage. That is why if you go to court, you'll file for some interlocutory injunction or interim injunction. The idea is, let's stop something first and then look into it. I think what the deputy governor had gone there for, let's stop this and look into it. And some people are saying he has no right. So what it means that it's okay, the person who was committing that thing has right to continue to commit it. Let's be sincere. I know for you to say that Tony is biased, you are also biased because you are on the one page and you want Tony to be on your page. And when Tony does not want to be on your page, Tony now becomes biased.
All right, Tony, thank you for your contribution this morning.
My concern is this. I have condemned vote buying here. Thank you for pointing it out. For those who did not listen, you pointed, I condemned it. And I said that electoral act should also strengthen that. You don't say person. When we know that sometimes political parties are the one perpetrating this.
As a matter of fact, these people work for the political
parties. That is it. And at the same time, what is the punishment? 500,000. Can you imagine? Sometimes 1 million. So you can't even give disqualification. And I'm here shouting, condemning that, saying this is what we do. And somebody will stand there and say, yeah, bias, yeah, this.
Thank you, Tony. Franklin.
So let's put it on ground this very way. What happened on Saturday, not just in Anambra State, was just a sham. Like, if you're talking about let's do election the proper way, votes were bought across board. All parties were involved from A to Z. All of them paid voters for them to vote for them. Then secondly, I don't think it was within the rights of the deputy governor to leave his place to go to Osumenyi. Deputy governor has access to many persons. He could have called the IGP. He could have called the people in charge of 82 division to say this is what happened. Or he could have even gone to the press to address the press, see what is going on there. The thing is this, for me, we can't continue to bend laws at convenience, thinking that we can get better. If we become respecter of law at all time, irrespective of what happens, that's the only way we can get better.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Franklin, for your contribution this morning. Well, as a Nigerian who desires to see a better Nigeria, I'd always implore you to do the right thing. And you know the right thing, all right? Don't tell me about things that we're used to induce you to do the wrong thing, come of it. If you decide to do the right thing, nothing can stop you. The Polity is going to make a return tomorrow, 9:15 down to 11 a.m. Until then, do take care of yourself. Good morning.